After a decade of efforts by Western Mass veterans, local leaders welcome veterans to the groundbreaking of the Western Massachusetts Post 9/11 and Service Dog Memorial Park. Western Mass News reporter Glenn Kittle has the story.
Local veterans and service dogs in Chicopee were honored today with a new memorial park located on Westover Road. Chicopee Mayor John View says the memorial bestowed upon this park is a first of its kind for Chicopee.
Previously, Chicopee has dedicated memorial parks to individuals, conflicts, recognizing the ultimate sacrifices of those who served in the military forces. We have the first park established to recognize the service of all veterans, both deceased and living.
The planning and design phase included community, professional, and veteran input to provide a recreational area that celebrates the contributions made by Massachusetts veterans and service dogs. Chief Master Sergeant Ryan Hellier tells Western Mass News the location of the new memorial already has military history behind it.
I think the location of the memorial is quite fitting. This used to be an area that was owned by Westover Air Reserve Base, which is just a short distance down the street, and it allows us, the relationship with our community partners in the town of Chicopee, kind of allows us to do what we do, which is to provide air mobility on a global scale.
The park is expected to be under construction until late 2023. Chicopee Director of Veterans Services Stephanie Shaw tells Western Mass News the collaborative effort between veterans, city, and state leaders and the communities showed just how much the city supports its veterans.
We've never done something quite so large, working with all the other departments. All of the other monuments and dedicated spaces in the city have been grassroots fundraised efforts from the volunteer committees in town and the veteran organizations. So this is unique with the collaboration between residents, veterans, committees, and city departments.
Reporting in Chicopee, Glenn Kittle, Western Mass News.